Time is something that everyone is familiar with. 60 seconds is 1 minute, 60 minutes is 1 hour, 24 hours is 1 day, and so on. This is known as linear time and is something that everyone is familiar with and agrees upon. But consider this. If someone came up to you on the street and asked you to draw time, what would you draw? You might draw a clock or a watch ticking every second, or you might draw a calendar with X's over each day to represent the passing of time. Time cannot be explained by even the smartest people on earth. So, what is time in English language, and how can we express it? Let's find out. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to a new episode from newstartusa.com. Today is day 4, and today we are diving into how we talk about time in English language. It's super interesting, so let's get started. First up, we've got some simple time words like now, then, soon, and later. They help us say when stuff happens without making it too complicated. Next, there are fun phrases like time flies, time is money, and time heals all wounds. There are like little sayings that tell us cool things about time. When we tell stories, we use words like once upon a time, meanwhile, and eventually to keep the story going. It's like painting pictures with words. And in everyday chats, we say stuff like long time no see, time's up, and just in time. It's how we talk about time without thinking about it. So, time is all around us in English, from simple words to fun phrases, and even in our everyday talks. Pretty cool, right? Hello and welcome back to a new episode from newstartusa.com. This is Muhammad Ibrahim, and today we are going to talk about time. But the good news is time in English language is not that complicated like I was talking about in the introduction. We're still in Module 1, understanding the basics. We're still talking about basic English, basic vocabulary. We're going to start talking about the basics in the first week. So the first week is still basic vocabulary. This is day 4. Day 4 is days of the week and time concept. All of that introductions just to introduce the time concept in English language. It's nothing different than the time concept in your native language. The only difference is the vocabulary, daily vocabulary that Native American speakers use in their daily lives. So building that vocabulary is going to open more doors and opportunities. If you live in the United States or any English language speaking country, you need to communicate your schedules, your agenda, your time, your appointments. You need to use some vocabulary to communicate all of that. Before you came to the United States, before you traveled to the English speaking country that you are in, and even if you are still in your country and you speak a different language, but you want to learn English, you need to start with basics. And the very basic thing that you need to start with is the days of the week. But the concept of the weekend is still the same. So it's usually different in some countries. In the United States, they use O plus the weekend. And in the UK, they use at plus the weekend. I played football at the weekend. And in the United States, they say I played football on the weekend. And even football is completely different between the US and the UK. And we also write weekend in one word. We don't split it in 2 words. We don't divide it. We don't do week space and we don't do week dash and. It's just one word, weekend. And when somebody says over the weekend, I did something over the weekend, that means they did that thing on Saturday and Sunday. And it's the same thing for during the weekend or at the weekend, on the weekend, etc. So let's take this example. They will be staying with us over the weekend. I will try and fix your bike during the weekend. And normally, when people say a long weekend means there is an extra day, there is an additional day on top of the 2 days that we normally have on the weekend. So it's either Friday or Monday before or after the weekend. When you have Friday off and then you get Saturday and Sunday off for the weekend, that means you had a long weekend. That's what people mean when they say a long weekend. The concept of time is how we understand time, like knowing what happened before and what's happening right now and what will happen in the future. And all of that help us to plan our day, our schedule, our calendar, to make appointments, to have that feeling of time. So one of the words that you need to add to your vocabulary is tonight. Tonight gives you a time feeling. Tonight is one of the time concepts, words that you need to know. And an example of tonight is, I think I'll go to bed early tonight. So you're telling the person in front of you that you are going to bed early tonight. That means it's not tonight yet, but you're telling them at that time, around that time of the night, I'll be going to bed. So it gives you that feeling of time immediately, straight away, right away. All of these words are rich vocabulary that you need to have. Last week is another one. Last week my car broke down. And if you notice, last week it's not one word. It's a phrase. That's why sometimes I encourage people to learn phrases, not individual words. Because when you learn a phrase, it will add up to your chances of learning grammar, vocabulary, and all of that in one phrase. I will be in the office this week, so you should give me a call. Yesterday, Emma left home yesterday morning. Next week, their wedding is next week. Today and this morning. So today we're going to talk about just an overview and see some basic examples of some time concepts and some time vocabulary that we normally use in English language. When we say a week, that means the week has 7 days and we know what we're talking about. It gives us that feeling of time. And when we say days, the same thing. It has 24 hours, night and morning, afternoon. These are all vocabulary for time that we use to describe some segments of a certain period of time. If it's a day, a year, a week, no matter how much that time is, you just need to have a concept. You need to have a feeling of that time. We're going to talk about these basic fundamentals for today so it can help us get an idea of what we're going to talk about in the future in this course. Thank you for hanging out and learning about time in English with me. If you like this video, make sure to like it, share it, and subscribe to the channel to get more English stuff in the future. Until then, take care, and I will see you later.